What is Conan O'Brien's net worth and salary? Richest TV host. Stay tuned for more on the lives of rich people. Hello dear friends. Conan O'Brien is an American television host, writer, producer and comedian whose fortune is estimated at $200 million. Conan O'Brien has hosted various incarnations of late-night comedy talk shows for nearly 3 decades. He hosted the show on NBC from 1993 to 2010. He then hosted the show on TBS from 2010 to 2020. During his time on TBS, Conan earned an annual salary of $12 million. In recent years, Conan has had tremendous success as a podcaster. In May 2022, Conan sold his SiriusXM podcasting network for $150 million. Early years. Conan Christopher O'Brien was born in Brookline, Massachusetts on April 18, 1963. His father is a physician and professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School, and his mother is a retired attorney and former partner in the Boston firm of Ropes & Gray. He has had 3 brothers and 2 sisters. O'Brien attended Brooklyn High School, from which he graduated in 1981 with a farewell. He continued his education at Harvard University, where he studied history and literature, graduating in 1985. Saturday Night Live. After graduating from Harvard, O'Brien moved to Los Angeles, where he joined the writers of the HBO show Unnecessary News. At one time, he also performed with improv groups such as Groundlings. He joined the Saturday Night Live writing team in January 1988 and spent 3 years there. In 1989, he actually won an Emmy Award along with other SNL writers for Outstanding Script of a Comedy or Variety Series. He occasionally appeared as an extra in SNL sketches, such as The Doorman in a sketch with Tom Hanks. During this time, he also wrote a pilot for the television program Look Well with Robert Smigel starring Adam West. The pilot aired on NBC in 1991 but was not shown on the network. After the failure of the Look Well pilot and the termination of its engagement. The Simpsons. He was later offered a job as a writer for the animated sitcom The Simpsons, which was a very welcome rare opportunity. He worked as a writer and producer on The Simpsons from 1991 to 1993, writing some of the show's most famous episodes, including Marge vs. the Monorail and Homer Goes to College. Late night. Meanwhile, David Letterman was about to leave the late-night talk show, so executive producer Lorne Michaels was looking for a new host to take over. At first, he suggested O'Brien produce, but O'Brien's agent stressed that he wanted to perform, not just produce and write. A trial audition was arranged, and in April 1993, O'Brien was selected as the new host of Late Night. However, he still had a contract with Fox to work on The Simpsons, so O'Brien and Late Night NBC Network split the cost to get him out of it. Late Night with Conan O'Brien premiered on September 13, 1993, and was initially poorly received by critics. Things got so bad that at one point NBC threatened O'Brien with a weekly contract, and the interns had to fill empty seats in the audience. Over time, however, things got better and the show began to gain popularity. Beginning in 1996, the show's writing team, along with O'Brien himself, would be nominated each year for an Emmy Award for Best Screenplay for a Comedy or Variety Series. They will also win the Screenwriters Award, Guide Award for Best Screenplay for a Comedy Variety Series several times. By October 2005, the show had consistently attracted an average of 2.5 million viewers. Late Night last officially aired on February 20, 2009. O'Brien subsequently took over the Late Night show from Jay Leno and remained in that position for 7 months between 2009 and 2010. A combination of O'Brien's low ratings and Jay Leno's low ratings in his new primetime slot resulted in Leno returning to the night slot and The Tonight Show in the 2010. The tension between O'Brien and NBC became known as the Tonight Show conflict. NBC's calculation. Conan was eventually paid $32.5 million in compensation when he left NBC. The network also agreed to pay $12 million, which went to his employees. After leaving NBC, O'Brien took a break from television and instead went on a 30-city tour of Legally Prohibited from Being Funny on Television in 2010. On the day he began his tour, he also announced his new show on the channel cable station TBS. Conan premiered on TBS on November 8, 2010. He hosted the show at a salary of $10 million a year until June 2021. O'Brien had several notable moments in Conan, including being the first American television personality to be filmed in Cuba for over 50 years, and also filmed in the DMZ in South Korea, and technically North Korea because he crossed the border in the DMZ. Team Koko. After the Jay Leno NBC disaster, Conan founded a production company called Team Koko. A major deal with TBS allowed Conan and Team Koko to own the rights to his show. Under this agreement, Conan was allowed to publish excerpts from interviews, musical performances, and sketches from the TBS show on platforms such as YouTube. In November 2018, Team Koko launched the Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend podcast. The podcast won awards such as the iHeartRadio Podcast Award for Best Comedy Podcast and Best Commercial. Team Koko subsequently launched a dozen other podcasts. By mid-2022, the podcast network was generating 16 million downloads a month, 200 million a year. Conan's main podcast, Friend, accounted for about 10 million monthly downloads. SiriusXM acquisition. On May 23, 2022, Conan announced that he sold Team Koko to SiriusXM for $150 million. Through the acquisition, the Team Koko podcast will continue to create content for Team Koko's channel on Sirius. Conan also received a 5-year contract with Talent. Interestingly, the deal gave Sirius the right to receive all revenue generated from Team Koko's YouTube channel, but Conan retained ownership of the actual intellectual property. Personal life. O'Brien met Elizabeth and Liza Powell in 2000. At the time, she was working as a senior copywriter at Food, Cone & Belding. She appeared in a parody involving the firm on his show Late Night with Conan O'Brien. They dated for nearly 18 months before getting married in Seattle in 2002. They have 2 children, daughter Neve, born 2003, and son Beckett, born 2005. Real estate. While he was hosting Late Night from New York City, Conan and his family lived in a split-level apartment overlooking Central Park. As the family prepared to move to Los Angeles, they quietly put the fully furnished apartment up for $30 million. The house sold in July 2010 for $25 million. In 2008, after moving from New York to Los Angeles to head the Tonight Show, Conan bought a house in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles for $10,750,000. He sold the house in June 2012 for $9,250,000, losing $1.5 million. In 2011, Conan and his wife paid $19,400,000 for a new mansion in nearby Pacific Palisades. He also bought the property next door. It's unclear whether that purchase is included in the reported $19.4 million price tag. In 2015, Conan paid $7,900,000 for a beachfront home in Carpinteria, California, near Santa Barbara. Among his immediate neighbors are Ellen DeGeneres, Portia de Rossi, George Lucas, and Steven Spielberg. Conan and his wife put the house up for sale in July 2022 for $16.5 million, and by October 2022 had reportedly accepted an offer close to the asking price. Conan O'Brien's cars. Conan O'Brien recently purchased a Volvo XC90 for $180,000. Conan O'Brien also owns a $600,000 Audi RSQ8. Here are a few of his vehicles: Lexus GX, BMW X6, Mercedes-Benz ECC. Other pursuits. O'Brien founded Conaco, a television production company, in 2001, which first began participating in the production of Late Night. Through Conaco, he was an executive producer on several shows and pilot projects, including Andy Barker, Private Detective 2007, and Outlaw 2010. This brings our research to a close. Today we took apart a really interesting personality who has a lot of fans, and we had a question: are there any Simpsons fans among our subscribers?